Hi PrePrep friends, this is Keun-woo here. We're going to read Galimoto for the second time. Now the first time we read this, we learned that a Galimoto is a little wire car that our friend Condi makes. So I wanted to show you some wire that I found around my house. And maybe if you have some of these things at home, you could build something out of wire just like Condi. So the first thing I found was this blue pipe cleaner, and you might have remembered this maybe from your classroom or maybe you have some at home, but on the outside it's kind of fuzzy and the inside of it is actually a piece of wire, and that wire helps make it flexible and bend so you can make different shapes with it, like a little swirl, or stretch it out, and you can keep bending it over and over again and make different shapes. And another wire that I found around my house was with this paper clip I found that's shaped in an airplane, and because it's made out of wire, I could bend it out, and maybe I could make something different. What do you think I could make with this? Do you have any of these things at home? What could you make with wire? Just like Condi made a Galimoto. Now, as we read today's story, we're really going to focus and use our brains to help figure out what happens first, next, and then last in the beginning, middle, and end of the story. So after we read today, you're going to help me draw some pictures and figure out what happened first in the very beginning of the story, what happened in the middle of the story, and then what happened at the very last part of the story. All right, so let's get started. All right, here we are reading Galimoto for the second time. Remember, today as we read, you're going to help me fill out what happens first in the beginning, next in the middle, and last at the end of the story. So let's review what happened on the first page, the first part of the story, so we can draw our picture. Condi opened an old shoebox and looked inside. These were his things. They belonged to him. Inside the box, there was a ball made of many old plastic bags, tightly wrapped with a string. There was a knife Condi had made from a piece of tin can and a dancing man he had made from dried corn stalks. In Condi's box, there were also some scraps of wire. He had been saving the wires for something special. Now he took them and the knife from his box. So what is happening in the first part of our story? And I'll draw a little picture here under first or beginning. So we meet our character Condi. So maybe I'll draw Condi. And you can draw however you want. And he's looking inside his box. So maybe that'll be my box. And inside he has his dancing man, some wires, the knife he had from a tin can, and maybe you can also write some words. So I'll write Condi looks at his box. Box. Condi looks at his box. So this is what happens in the beginning of the story. So we'll keep reading so we can figure out what happens in the middle next. All right. I shall make a Galimoto, Condi told his brother Ufulu. Ufulu laughed. A boy with only 7 years cannot make such a toy. You don't have enough wire. I'll get enough wire, Condi asked. So why is his brother laughing at him? Why does he think he can't make the Galimoto? So what is Condi going to do? Condi took his knife and wire scraps and went to the home of his friend Gift. I want your wires, Condi told Gift. I'll give you my wires for them. Why do you want the wires? Gift asked. I want to make a Galimoto, Condi answered. Gift ran his fingers over the tin knife. It's a good knife. I'll cut a dancing man with it. Gift took a handful of wires from his box of things and gave them to Condi. That's not enough wires for a Galimoto, he told his friend. I will find enough wire, Condi said. So what is Condi doing? It looks like he's trading his knife to get more wires. But what does Condi say when his friend says, that's not enough, that's still not enough? Condi says, I will find enough wire. Remember, he's being persistent. He's going to keep trying and he won't give up. Condi put his wires into an old plastic white bag and took them to the shop of his uncle. Good day, second son of my brother, the uncle greeted him. How can I help you? I want some wire, Condi told his uncle. How will you pay for it? I have no money, Condi answered, but you have the wires from your old packing boxes from the city, so they would make a fine Galimoto. So you want to make a Galimoto. The son of my brother is a clever boy. Take the wires. So here, what is Condi doing? Is he buying wires? No, because remember he said, I don't have any money, but he says his uncle might have some wire from his packing boxes, maybe from his recycling or his trash. So Condi wants to reuse and recycle the wires from his packing boxes. I wonder, why do you think Condi wants to make a Galimoto? Do you remember what happens in this part of the story? Why do the women look a little bit upset at him? I think because they're in line to grind their corn, but Condi maybe went to the front of the line because he wants the wires, but maybe they think he's cutting in line to get corn. But is he there for the corn? No, he's there to get some wires. But they say, stop that one. He goes out of turn. And the mill stopped its grinding. What is it? The miller shouted. The woman pointed at Condi. No, said Condi. I have no maize to grind. I only want wires for a Galimoto. So then the man lets Condi go back, and it looks like this is where his leftover car parts, and this is where his trash is. So he said that Condi can find the wires in there and take them. So Condi is taking wires that people aren't using. He's using his recycled materials from around his town. Just like my friends have been doing with their recycling assignments. And now, do we remember what happens here? How does Condi get more wire from Munde, the small sister of Gift? Do you remember? Yes. So Condi helped Munde catch some ants. He said, little friend, you cannot catch an ant that way. Go fetch some water for that and a stick. We will fool them. And so he poured the water around the hole. Now the ants will think the rains have begun, he explained. Then he stuck the stick down the hole. He pulled it out, and on the end was a large stick. My stick is better than wire for catching ants. You may have the stick. I'll take the wire. So what did he do in order to get more wire here? He showed her how to get ants with a stick, and they traded again. Condi knew there was a trash heap behind the bicycle repair shop, but the gate was locked. Condi climbed over the fence. In the courtyard, he found some broken, bent spokes from a bicycle. He climbed back over the fence with his bag. Uh-oh, but this might not look so good because the gate was locked, so he's climbing over it. So do you remember what happens? It sounds like people think he stole something because they shout, thief, help, police, thief. But does Condi get in trouble? No. So the policeman arrived. He grabbed Condi by the shoulder. What are you doing? He asked. Condi showed the policeman his wires. I want a Galimoto, he explained. I need these wires. Galimoto, the crowd murmured, Galimoto. Take your wires and go. So when the policeman realized he just had wires to make a toy, he realizes he didn't do anything wrong. Now, Condi took his wires back to the shade of his red flame trees in the village. Nearby, his mother and sisters pounded their maize. They sang the hard work they were doing. Now, before we finish reading the rest of the story, I want us to think about the middle of the story. So all these parts, starting here where he's trading for wire, where he goes to his uncle's place, where he goes to the corn mill, and trades wire with Gift's little sister, and goes to the bicycle repair shop. So in the middle of the story, what is Condi doing? He's trying to get what? He's trying to get wire. So at the beginning, he's looking at his box. Next, I guess he realizes he doesn't have enough wires in his box. So he what? He goes around his town and he trades things to get more wire. So that'll be my pretend wire. And he does things like, let's see, go to his uncle's shop. So maybe you want to draw him at the uncle's shop. So we could draw the uncle at the counter and Condi here. Or maybe you can draw Condi with the ant on his stick. Also the stick and a little ant. And in the middle of the story, he's trying to get more wire. So I'm going to write Condi, K, on, D, gets, G, et, S, more, wire, W, A, wire. Condi gets more wire in the middle of the story. Great job. Now let's see how the story ends. At the end of the story, Condi starts to what? He starts to build his Galimoto. So he starts to get his wire. Maybe if you have any wire at home, you could also try to make a Galimoto or a part of it, because I know it takes a lot of wire. Maybe you can make a circle for the wheel. And let's see. And finally, he finished his Galimoto. And he sits with all his other friends and they sit and sing and play together. Now he carefully guided his Galimoto over the dusty path. Galimoto, someone cheered, and one by one Condi's friends formed a line behind him. Hey, Galimoto, Galimoto, they began to chant. Condi saw the shadow of his Galimoto cast by the moonlight, racing alongside. It's a fine Galimoto, he thought proudly. Perhaps tomorrow I shall make my Galimoto into an ambulance or an airplane or a helicopter. The end. All right. Awesome. So at the end of the story, the last part, at the end, what does Condi do? He makes his Galimoto and he plays with it. So I could draw a picture of Condi and his Galimoto pickup truck. He's playing with it and building it. So at the end of the story, I'm going to write Condi, K, on, D, plays, with, W, if, his, H, is, Galimoto. So let's sound that out. G, A, Li, M, O, T, O. Condi plays with his Galimoto. And that's the end of the story. Great job, friends. I can't wait to see how you break out the beginning, middle, and end of this story.